Welcome back to Les Schwab Tire Center's Outdoor GPS. It's time for Owin's Field Report, sponsored by Les Schwab Tire Centers.
Well, other than, of course, it is fall Chinook season, and the main stem Columbia is going to become the most popular place for a number of reasons, just because of proximity. Great options up and down the coast. Some of the reports coming from the jetty areas, jaw areas of Tillamook have been really, really good. Things are kind of materializing along the coast in the tribs, in the bay, not tribs, excuse me, in the bays, coming along pretty darn well. And you could say a little bit early, but again, it's the first week of September. It'll be interesting to see how things kind of pan out. But on the Columbia, those fish are working their way up. They're running into the first wall, Bonneville. And with the water as warm as it's been, these counts have been crazy, going from 17 to 10 to 6, and then bouncing right back up to 11, 12, whatever it might be, because of the temperatures and flows. That all changes how those fish migrate, right? There's a lot of fish around, but with the water temps the way that they don't necessarily bite very well, right? And that's why you have a lot of people that are out there, and it can be quite a struggle. Yesterday, one of the best reports I've gotten all year for the fall Chinook fishery, at the very least, was from that lower-ish section of or upper section of zone 3, lower parts of 4. You know that river mouth that's down there? There's like 300 boats there as we speak. Really good fishing yesterday. Some great reports that came from there. And that could, again, be because of the cooler water coming from the cowlits. Maybe that's the reason why those fish are kind of snappy. But in the end, just look for that to increase as this upcoming weather change. And you're going to see that here in just a second when we check in with Peyton. It will bring that temperature down. And it just takes a couple of degrees difference. Going from 73 to 71 might not seem like a whole lot, but those fish really react to it quickly, and they can become a little bit more susceptible to biting. Right? That's kind of what you got to hope for if you get the chance to get out there. But in the end, that should be the trend going forward, is the river temperature starting to come down, because we do have some rain coming. Again, we'll talk with Peyton here in a second. Let's take a look at fish counts, and you can kind of see what I'm referring to, especially at Bonneville. I'm curious. I did not look at the Willamette this morning to see if they made any changes or not. There's really only one line there that I'm really kind of curious about when you're talking about the Willamette. But in the end, Bonneville being the big indicator of everything that's going on. Okay, so it looks like they did update a few days there. Nothing too dramatic, and coho numbers have yet to start to move, so not a lot of rocket science going on there. It's interesting to see that there are actually still more springers going over than in basically the middle of September now than silvers. Taking a look at Bonnie, though, look at the adult numbers. From 17,000 to 19,000, all the way down to 6,700 on the 3rd, and then it slowly is starting to come back around. And really, there's a number of things there. It was really hot for a couple days on the east side. That probably gave a little bit of a temperature rise, but they were messing with the river levels a little bit. We'll get to that in a second. Counts for steelhead, you know, they haven't just fallen off completely, but they're definitely slowing down, and then the adult numbers kind of coincide with that first day of Chinook numbers going down. Haven't really ramped back up yet, but that could be for a couple of different reasons. But in the end, you really got some stuff to be excited about while I'm over in elk camp, so I hope that you do really, really... Although I'm coming back a little bit earlier than I typically do in the month of September. River levels, not a lot of, interesting things here, other than if you're going to be doing one of the... I'm not going to say that wobbler fishing or on the anchor right now has been as good as trolling, but if it's not as good, it's right there. But you're going to have to follow the tides. Willamette, again, not too interesting, but if you take a look at the Columbia, those tides are pretty vertical. The incoming is absolutely stopping the tide, and in some areas, will turn it to where it's going upriver. One of the things that you need to pay attention to, it is a little bit better than it was a handful of days ago, but at the bottom of those tides, you're really starting to get shallow, really shallow in a lot of spots on the Columbia. You really need to stick to the channel itself, or at least have the experience in the zones that you're running the boat to make sure, that you don't run yourself aground, because those tides at sub 1 foot, I mean, that really brings a lot of areas, a lot of bars, a lot of spots, in the range where you blow that lower unit off in a hurry in an area that you're typically running through if you're not too familiar with the area. But take a look at the flows of Bonneville. They are kind of consistent up and down, but you can see back there on Tuesday where you had a little bit of change with the migration over the dam. That's why. or at least one of the reasons why they may have slowed down a little bit. But in the end, this upcoming week, if you haven't had a lot of time to get out there, this would be a week to really pay attention to. You might have to deal with a little bit of moisture, but that is a really good thing. Procure, don't forget to send Jason at procure.com an email. Enter yourself in to win that prize pack, and hopefully you do, because you're going to be needing that going forward, as we were already starting to get questions about winter steelhead. It's way too early for those questions, but those are things to pay attention to, and the next one will obviously be more slanted towards steelhead. Okay, if we can, let's go ahead and check in with Peyton Major. You're going to be busy this upcoming week, aren't you?
Yes, it went from hot to all of a sudden fall started. And we got some lightning last night. Maybe you woke up to some thunder very early this morning. This is a photo actually taken just after midnight from Autumn in South Salem. Really cool there. Weak system moving north. That's kind of the source of this. This is a little 6-hour loop that you can see all that lightning that went through overnight. You can see actually nearly 2,000 strikes in the last 24 hours all over Oregon, but especially west of I-5. Now that band is to our north. We are only seeing just a few storms rolling through central Oregon near Lapine, headed into Bend in the next few hours. But lots of moisture. We still have the 2 key ingredients for some storms today. So if you missed them last night, you're not off the hook. So have surface moisture. I'm sure you could feel the humidity, but also an upper level disturbance. That's an area of low pressure that's creeping on by. Okay, when we look at our models here, I do want to emphasize that I would not kind of take this very seriously, just because models have a really hard time showing us exactly where those storms will come and when they'll come as well. So I'm going to say, as vague as it sounds, anytime, anywhere is fair game for some storms all the way through Sunday evening. This is now 8 p.m. I do think most of us will be dry at that point. Heading into next week, we got cooler temperatures, highs in the 70s, lows in the 60s, and lots of fall rain. We're actually tracking this low that's going to scoot on by pretty much midweek, and so that's a very good, healthy chance for rain that we haven't had in quite a while. You can see turning showery Monday, Tuesday. It's probably our wettest day. Scattered showers into Wednesday. All in all, I think we'll see anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. The highest totals around the Cascades. A little bit of uncertainty Thursday, Friday next week. We could see that low linger and keep us nice and cool, or we may see a little bit of a warm up. But regardless, though, and I don't see any 90s, and I see a lot of rain, which is what we asked for last weekend.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely beautiful. I do have one question for you, though, so I'm going to put you on the spot.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm heading to the east side, northeast side of Oregon. Is this rain the first part of the week going to make it all the way over there, or is it staying on this side of the mountain range?
Literally anywhere. So northeastern Oregon could still see rain and storms all the way through, actually most of next week too, because it's still a little warmer over there. So just know that if there is showers in the forecast, we still have the low level moisture, and we could still have some storms as well.
Well, thank you. That just means I got to get an extra tarp to cover my tent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Peyton. We appreciate it. Thank you very much.